Life won't always give you what you like, but it will always give you what you need. And happiness begins the moment you learn the difference. My dear friends, I know life isn't always gentle. Some mornings you wake up inspired, and others you wake up exhausted. Some days move smoothly, and others feel like everything is falling apart. But happiness is not something life gives you. Happiness is something you choose again and again, even when your heart is tired and the road feels long. And today, I want to share 7 lessons, 7 simple truths that can help you stay grounded, grateful, and genuinely happy, no matter what life throws your way. Happiness begins the moment we release the tight grip of expectations, because so often it is not life that disappoints us. It's the story we told ourselves about how life should be. We walk into a day expecting people to be kind, expecting plans to run smoothly, expecting our efforts to be appreciated, expecting circumstances to align. And every time reality does not follow the script, the heart feels cheated. We think something went wrong, but the truth is simple. Life never signed a contract to behave according to our desires. The more we demand perfection from the world, the more frustrated our hearts become. Think about nature. A flower does not rise from the soil expecting the rain to fall on schedule or the sunlight to stay consistent. It grows in the conditions it is given. If the rain comes late, it bends a little. If the wind is harsh, it adapts. If the clouds hide the sun, it waits patiently. And that patience becomes its strength. That flexibility becomes its beauty. We human beings, on the other hand, often want life to bend around us. We want people to change instantly. We want outcomes to match our timing. We want everything to align with our preferences. But happiness cannot exist where rigidity rules. Many of us wake up with a quiet hope inside. Today will finally go the way I want. And when the first inconvenience hits, we let that little disturbance steal the peace of the entire day. A small delay, a rude comment, a missed opportunity, an unexpected duty. None of these are life's attempt to punish us. They are simply part of the natural rhythm of being human. But if our expectations are too rigid, we react as if life has betrayed us. We forget that the world is not obligated to move according to our emotional expectations. Real happiness starts when we learn to appreciate what comes, instead of fighting what doesn't. When we learn to see surprises as teachers, when we learn to bend like that flower instead of breaking like a dry branch. Lowering expectations is not about lowering standards. It is about freeing your heart from unnecessary suffering. It is about recognizing that people are imperfect, timing is unpredictable, and life is constantly evolving. Let me share something simple but powerful. One day I met a man who smiled through every difficulty. Nothing seemed to shake him. I asked him, "How do you remain so peaceful?" He replied, "I stopped expecting people to behave the way I think they should. I started accepting that everyone acts from their own experience, not from my imagination." That one insight changed his emotional world, and it can change yours too. When you expect less from others, you stop taking their imperfections personally. When you expect less from circumstances, you stop blaming life for being life. When you expect less from outcomes, you stop tying your worth to results. Expectations create pressure, and pressure suffocates joy. Release that pressure, and happiness returns like fresh air entering a closed room. Some might think, "But if I stop expecting, won't I stop caring?" Not at all. You continue to care, you continue to work hard, you continue to love deeply, but without demanding perfect outcomes. This is the balance that creates emotional maturity. You give your best, but you don't lose your peace if life gives a different result. Happiness grows when we understand that God's plan is often bigger than the plan we created for ourselves. Sometimes the delay you dislike is a protection you don't yet understand. Sometimes the rejection you fear is the direction you need. Sometimes the obstacle that frustrates you is the training that strengthens you. Life is not working against you, it is working on you. When we stop expecting life to be perfect, we start noticing the beauty in its imperfections. We start appreciating small blessings. We start valuing simple joys. We start feeling grateful for what we have instead of miserable over what we lack. And gratitude is the soil in which happiness grows naturally. So breathe. Relax your grip on how things should be. Let life unfold. Let God lead. Let the journey surprise you. Happiness is not found in controlling everything. It is found in trusting enough to let go. Release expectations. Embrace reality. And you will discover that peace was always waiting within you. Life rarely hands us a perfectly peaceful day. Almost every day arrives carrying some mix of beauty and difficulty, joy and irritation, calmness and chaos. Yet, inside these imperfect days, there are always small, precious pockets of grace, moments we often overlook because we are too busy focusing on what went wrong. The secret to daily happiness is not waiting for the whole day to be perfect, but training your heart to recognize those tiny, sacred moments that make the day worth living. We all know those mornings when something small sets off a chain of frustration. You wake up late, you spill your coffee, you forget something important. Someone speaks harshly, something breaks, and suddenly your mind decides, this day is ruined. But is it really ruined? Or did one unpleasant moment trick your mind into believing that everything else must follow the same path? The truth is, happiness lives inside moments, not days. If you search for perfection across 24 hours, you will always be disappointed. But if you search for small blessings, a kind smile, a warm cup of tea, a moment of quiet, a message from someone you love, a simple sunset, you will always find something to be grateful for. Think about a mosaic. From far away it looks beautiful, but if you look closely, you see it is made of tiny, irregular pieces. Some are sharp, some are smooth, some are bright, some are dull. But together they create something meaningful. Life is just like that mosaic. If you fixate on the sharp edges, you will say life is painful. If you fixate on the dull pieces, you will say life is boring. But if you step back and look at the whole picture, you will realize those pieces were necessary for the beauty to appear. Some people live waiting for a day when nothing goes wrong, but that day never comes. And because of that expectation, they miss the gentle blessings hidden inside ordinary moments. Happiness is not the absence of problems. Happiness is the presence of awareness. It is noticing the sunlight through your window. It is appreciating someone who genuinely listens to you. It is enjoying a simple meal. It is laughing at something silly. It is remembering that even during chaos, there is something beautiful worth holding on to. Many times, the smallest moments become the ones we cherish the most. A child running toward you with open arms, a stranger opening the door for you, your favorite song playing unexpectedly, someone saying, "I'm proud of you," a quiet breath after a long day. These moments are like God whispering, "I know it's not easy, but I'm still here with you." But we don't hear those whispers because our minds are too busy replaying frustrations. There was once a man who complained every single day about how nothing ever worked in his favor. One day I asked him, "Tell me something good that happened today." He stared for a moment and said, "Nothing good happened." I gently pressed him, "Did the sun rise?" He nodded. "Did you wake up without pain?" Another nod. "Did you eat today?" "Yes." "Did someone greet you today?" "Yes." "Did you breathe freely?" "Yes." Then I smiled and said, "Maybe good things are happening. You just stopped counting them." That conversation changed him. Slowly he began noticing the small, overlooked miracles of life. He realized that joy had not abandoned him. He had abandoned joy by taking the small blessings for granted. You and I do the same thing. We let one inconvenience poison our perspective. We allow one person's comment to overshadow 10 beautiful moments. We focus so intensely on the dark clouds that we fail to notice the sunlight still breaking through. You don't need perfect conditions to feel grateful. You don't need a flawless schedule to feel peaceful. You don't need everything to go your way to feel content. You simply need to notice the divine fingerprints hidden in your day. Maybe it's the person who made you laugh. Maybe it's the unexpected help you received. Maybe it's the lesson wrapped inside a challenge. Maybe it's the strength you didn't know you had. Life becomes happier when you shift your attention from what is missing to what is present. When you stop waiting for a perfect day and start embracing small, perfect moments. You deserve joy even on difficult days. You deserve peace even when the schedule is messy. You deserve moments of beauty even when the world feels heavy. Look closer. God is still giving. Life is still offering. Beauty is still appearing. And happiness, my friends, is still available. Hidden in moments most people never pause long enough to see. There will be days when life moves exactly as you planned, and then there will be days when everything you touch seems to fall apart. You cannot always control the situation. Traffic jams, unexpected bills, arguments, delays, rejections, misunderstandings, disappointments. These are unavoidable parts of the human journey. But in every situation, one thing remains entirely yours, your response. And it is that response which determines whether the moment becomes your prison or your teacher. Most people spend their lives trying to control the uncontrollable. They try to control what someone thinks about them. They try to control how others behave. They try to control outcomes, timing, circumstances, even fate itself. But life gently teaches us again and again that control is an illusion. The more tightly we cling to it, the more frustrated we become. But when we redirect our energy from controlling the outside world to controlling our inner world, something beautiful happens. We reclaim our peace, our power, and our emotional freedom. Imagine two individuals facing the same problem. One reacts instantly, fueled by anger, impatience, or fear. The other pauses, breathes, and responds with calmness and clarity. The situation may be the same, but their experiences are completely different. The first becomes a victim of the moment. The second becomes the master of it. Happiness belongs to the second. Not because life is easier for them, but because they have learned to rule their reactions instead of letting their reactions rule them. Think about a storm. You cannot stop the winds, you cannot silence the thunder, you cannot prevent the rain. But you can decide whether to stand shivering in fear or step inside, light a candle, and wait in peace. In life's emotional storms, that candle is your response. The quiet choice that helps you see clearly even when everything around you is shaking. There is profound strength in pausing before reacting. It is not weakness, it is wisdom. Anyone can shout, few can stay silent. Anyone can blame, few can take responsibility. Anyone can explode, few can breathe and choose restraint. The space between stimulus and response is where your maturity lies. It is where your happiness is born. When you choose patience, in a moment of irritation, you protect your peace. When you choose kindness in a moment of conflict, you protect your relationships. When you choose humility in a moment of ego, you protect your character. These choices shape the quality of your life far more than external circumstances ever will. I once met a young man who struggled with anger. He said, "I don't want to be angry, but people push my buttons." I told him gently, "Nobody is pushing your buttons, they are simply pressing what's already there." His eyes widened because he realized something deep. The responsibility was his, not theirs. The world will always test you. People will always be imperfect. Circumstances will always be unpredictable, but your inner world, your peace, your balance, your responses are yours alone to manage. This truth liberates you, because if your peace depends on others, you are forever a prisoner. But if your peace depends on your own choices, you are forever free. Responding wisely doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means managing them with maturity. It means acknowledging your feelings without letting them control you. It means choosing actions that reflect your values, not your impulses. And this ability comes from daily practice, small moments of patience, small decisions of restraint, small breaths of awareness. Take a breath before replying to a message that upset you. Take a moment before reacting to someone's tone. Take a pause before assuming someone's intention. That single pause can save relationships, prevent misunderstandings, and protect your peace. Life will give you many situations that are unfair, unpredictable, and challenging. But none of those situations have the authority to decide your happiness unless you hand them that authority. No one can steal your peace unless you open the door. No one can disturb your inner world unless you let them enter. The more you practice calming your reactions, the stronger you become, the calmer you become. And the calmer you become, the happier your life becomes. Because happiness is not found in perfect conditions. It is found in your ability to remain centered even when the conditions are far from perfect. So remember this: you cannot always choose what happens to you. But you can always choose how you meet what happens. You can choose patience. You can choose understanding. You can choose kindness. You can choose faith. And each of those choices becomes a piece of your happiness, built from the inside, beyond the reach of the world. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a way of seeing life. It is a spiritual lens that helps you notice what is already good instead of endlessly chasing what is missing. In today's world, it has become so easy to overlook blessings and so easy to magnify problems. We scroll through social media and suddenly our own lives appear inadequate. Someone's vacation looks better, someone's relationship looks happier, someone's success seems larger. And without realizing it, comparison begins to rob us silently. It steals our joy, our peace, our confidence, and ultimately our happiness. But gratitude is the antidote. Gratitude is the quiet miracle that transforms not enough into more than enough. It takes the same life, the same circumstances, the same situations, and changes how you experience them. When you wake up with gratitude, you see blessings where others see burdens. You see progress where others see problems. You see God's grace in the smallest details of your day. Most of us think gratitude is a reaction to something good happening, but real gratitude is a decision, not a reaction. It is choosing to see the gift in the ordinary. It is remembering that nothing in life is promised. Not your health, not your breath, not your relationships, not your opportunities. Everything is grace. Everything is borrowed. Everything is fragile. And when you recognize that fragility, even the simplest things begin to feel special. Think of your heartbeat. It beats without your permission. It sustains you without being asked. How often do we say thank you for that? Think of your eyes, your ability to walk, your ability to receive love, your ability to dream. Think of the people who care for you, even the ones who show love imperfectly. Think of the food you eat, the home you sleep in, the mind you have been given to think, hope, and imagine. These are gifts so woven into our daily lives that we barely notice them anymore. Once I met an elderly man who radiated peace. His life was not luxurious. His health was fragile, his wealth was little, and yet his smile carried a depth that felt unshakable. I asked him, "How do you stay so joyful?" He replied, "Because I thank God for what I have left instead of crying for what I've lost." That sentence carries the essence of gratitude. Life will take things from you. Life will change. But if you keep focusing on what's gone, you will never value what remains. Gratitude doesn't mean your life is perfect. It means you are choosing to focus on the parts that are beautiful despite the imperfections. It means appreciating people instead of expecting them to fulfill every desire. It means valuing experiences instead of demanding flawless outcomes. It means recognizing that even challenges contain blessings, lessons, strength, resilience, wisdom. One of the most profound truths is this: gratitude doesn't change your circumstances, it changes you. It changes your attitude. It softens your heart. It lifts your spirit. It helps you move from complaining to appreciating, from bitterness to openness, from stress to serenity. When you practice gratitude, everything feels lighter because you stop fighting life and start embracing it. Many people think, "I'll be grateful when things get better," but that mindset delays happiness. Life will never be free of challenges. Waiting for the perfect moment to feel grateful is like waiting for the ocean to be completely still before taking a swim. Gratitude must be practiced in the waves, not after they settle. Try this. At the end of each day, think of 3 simple things that went right. Not big achievements, not grand successes, just 3 small blessings. Maybe someone's smile, maybe a moment of rest, maybe a lesson you learned, maybe the strength you showed in a difficult moment. When you do this daily, you train your mind to notice the good automatically, and when gratitude becomes your default, happiness follows effortlessly. Because when you see life as a gift, every moment becomes meaningful. Every experience becomes valuable. Every breath becomes sacred. Gratitude shifts your energy. It deepens your connection with God. It makes your heart more open, your mind more peaceful, and your life more joyful. It reminds you that you already have so much. And when you appreciate what you have, you attract even more goodness naturally. More peace, more clarity, more love. So let your heart whisper, "Thank you," again and again. Not because everything is perfect, but because even in the imperfection, there is beauty. Even in the struggle, there is strength. And even in the ordinary, there is divine grace waiting to be noticed. There is a special kind of happiness that cannot be bought, demanded, or hunted. It only arrives when your heart turns outward, towards someone else's pain, someone else's struggle, someone else's loneliness. Service has a way of lifting the human spirit like nothing else can. When you help someone who cannot repay you, a quiet healing begins inside your own soul. When you comfort someone who is breaking, your own wounds begin to soften. And when you lift someone who has fallen, your heart discovers strength you didn't know you had. So often in life, we believe happiness comes from what we receive: comfort, attention, praise, success. But there is another truth, a deeper truth. The heart is not nourished by what it consumes, but by what it contributes. You may fill your home with things, but only service fills the emptiness inside. You may chase achievements, but only compassion gives your achievements meaning. You may receive love, but only giving love makes your heart overflow. Think of a small candle. If you use that candle to light another, the flame does not shrink, it grows. Service works exactly the same way. When you serve others, your light expands, your joy multiplies, your inner world brightens. This is why people who give the most are rarely the ones who feel empty. It is often the ones who seek only for themselves who feel the most lost. Many people carry silent burdens that you may never see. There are people who smile on the outside but are hurting inside. People who laugh loudly but cry quietly at night. People who appear strong but are breaking in places only God knows. When you look beyond the surface and offer kindness, a listening ear, a gentle word, a small act of help, you become an instrument of healing in someone's life. I once met a woman who spent her weekends feeding the homeless. I asked her why she used her only free time to serve strangers. She said, "Because it reminds me that I still matter, not because of what I have, but because of what I can give." That statement carries immense wisdom. We often attach our worth to our possessions, accomplishments, or status, but real worth is shown in how we touch the lives of others. Whenever you feel lost, serve. Whenever you feel unloved, give love. Whenever you feel purposeless, help someone find their strength. Life has a beautiful way of returning to you what you give out. Not always immediately, not always in the same shape, but always in the right way. Kindness has its own path back to the giver, and service has its own quiet rewards. When you wake up in the morning and ask, "What can I take from the world today?" your day becomes heavy. But when you wake up and ask, "What can I contribute today?" your day becomes light, because service shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. You stop worrying about what you lack and start realizing how much you already have to share. And service doesn't always mean grand gestures. Sometimes it is sitting with someone who feels alone. Sometimes it is listening without judgment. Sometimes it is holding someone's hand during their fear. Sometimes it is saying, "I'm here for you." Sometimes it is forgiving someone who is struggling to forgive themselves. The smallest kindness can become the biggest blessing in someone's life. There is a spiritual law at play. When you help lift someone's burden, God lightens yours. When you wipe someone's tears, God softens your own pain. When you give without expectation, life gives you peace in return. Service is not losing yourself. It is discovering the best version of yourself. And the beautiful thing is, you don't need to be wealthy to serve. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You simply need a willing heart. A heart that sees beyond its own needs. A heart that remembers we are all connected. A heart that understands that joy grows when shared. If you ever feel empty, try giving. If you ever feel lonely, try caring. If you ever feel disconnected, try serving. You will be amazed at how your heart begins to bloom again. Because happiness is not only about living for yourself, it is about allowing your life to make someone else's life better. When you leave this world one day, people will not remember the things you owned. They will remember the love you gave. They will remember how you made them feel. They will remember the moments when you chose kindness over convenience and compassion over comfort. Service is not a duty, it is an honor. And when you embrace it, happiness stops being something you chase. It becomes something you naturally become. There comes a time in every heart's journey when you must learn the art of releasing what hurts, releasing what drains, releasing what no longer supports your growth. Holding on feels easier at first. It feels familiar. Even pain feels strangely comfortable when we've carried it for too long. But what we hold begins to shape us. And when we clutch old wounds, old grudges, old stories, they become emotional clutter that fills the mind, tires the soul, and dims the light inside. Life, in its own gentle way, keeps inviting us to let go, not because the past was insignificant, but because your future deserves space. Not because the pain was small, but because your heart deserves healing. Not because people always deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Some people will never apologize. They will never understand the hurt they caused. They will never see your side of the story. If you wait for closure from them, you may wait your whole life. Closure does not come from their mouth, it comes from your decision to no longer let their actions control your emotions. Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior, it is about releasing the power it has over you. Letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is remembering without reliving. It is accepting without aching. It is understanding the role a person or situation played in your life, but refusing to let it define your identity. Every time you release a weight, you rise a little. Every time you forgive, you heal a little. Every time you set down what hurts, your hands become free to hold what helps. Many of us drag old emotional suitcases everywhere we go. Anger, disappointment, betrayal, shame, regret. We carry them into our relationships, into our decisions, into our conversations, into our self-worth. And then we wonder why our hearts feel heavy. Imagine trying to run a marathon while holding 10 bags of stones. You may still move forward, but how exhausting the journey becomes. Life's journey feels lighter when your heart is lighter. Let me share something from a conversation I once had with a young man. He said, "I want to move forward, but something keeps pulling me back." I asked him, "What is that something?" He paused and whispered, "Old pain." I gently replied, "Pain is not a rope pulling you. It's a memory you haven't released." His eyes softened because he understood the truth. The past doesn't hold us, we hold the past. The moment you let go, you don't lose the lesson, you lose the suffering. You don't lose the memory, you lose the bitterness. You don't lose your past, you lose the prison it built around your heart. Letting go is a process. Some days you will feel healed, and some days the wound will sting again. That's okay. Healing is not linear, it is layered. With every layer you release, you grow a little stronger, a little wiser, a little lighter. The goal is not to erase what happened, but to no longer be enslaved by it. And letting go is not just about pain, it is also about releasing expectations, releasing the need to control, releasing the belief that everything must unfold your way. When you let go of the obsession to control outcomes, life flows more freely. When you stop gripping tightly, God's guidance becomes clearer. When you stop forcing things, you begin to trust that what is meant for you will arrive, and what is not meant for you will naturally drift away. Sometimes letting go is not a loss, it is protection. God removes certain people, closes certain doors, blocks certain paths because He sees what you cannot. You only see the moment, He sees the destination. You see the chapter, He sees the whole book. And every time you let go with faith instead of fear, you allow divine timing to do its work. Remember this, your heart was not designed to be a storage room for pain. It was designed to be a temple of peace. And peace requires space. Space requires release. Letting go is an act of self-respect. It is saying, my peace matters more than this grudge. It is choosing your emotional freedom over emotional imprisonment. It is choosing healing over hurting. It is choosing growth over stagnation. So breathe deeply. Release the weight. Release the story. Release the person. Release the expectation. Not because they deserve your forgiveness, but because you deserve to reclaim your joy. You deserve a lighter heart. You deserve a future not poisoned by the past. Let it go. Not to forget, but to move forward. Not to erase, but to evolve. Not for them, but for you. There are moments in life when the path ahead feels unclear, when you cannot see more than a step or two in front of you. You may feel uncertain about your future, unsure about your decisions, confused about your next steps. And in those moments, fear begins to whisper doubts into your heart. What if things don't work out? What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough? But this is where faith becomes your compass. Faith is not about seeing the entire staircase. It's about trusting the one who built it. It's about walking forward even when your vision is limited, because you trust that God's vision is not, life will test you, life will stretch you, life will place obstacles in your path that feel impossible to cross. But faith reminds you that you don't walk alone. There is a higher plan at work even when life feels chaotic. There is a divine order unfolding even when everything seems scattered. Just because you cannot see the purpose today does not mean purpose is absent. Sometimes the greatest blessings arrive disguised as confusion, delays, or detours. You think life is taking you in the wrong direction, but in reality, God is protecting you, redirecting you, preparing you. Remember a time in your life when something didn't go the way you wanted. Perhaps a job you didn't get, a person who walked away, a plan that failed, a dream that got delayed. And yet when you look back now, you can see how that experience shaped you. You can see how it built your character, strengthened your resilience, deepened your faith. You can see how it led you to something better, something more aligned with your purpose. This is why faith is so important. It helps you trust in the middle of the story, not just at the end of it. Walking with faith means believing that every step has meaning, even when the meaning is not visible. It means trusting that every challenge carries a lesson, every disappointment carries a direction, and every loss carries a deeper blessing. Faith teaches you to release the need to understand everything. Faith teaches you to stop overthinking and start surrendering. Faith teaches you that uncertainty is not your enemy. Sometimes it is the door to transformation. There will be days when you feel tired, when your prayers feel unanswered, when your efforts feel unnoticed. But faith whispers, keep going, keep believing, keep trusting, because God does not move according to your schedule. He moves according to your growth. Sometimes He slows your journey not to punish you, but to strengthen you. Sometimes He removes people not to hurt you, but to protect you. Sometimes He closes doors not to block you, but to push you toward the one door that is truly yours. Walking with faith doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means life becomes meaningful. It means your struggles are no longer empty, they are purposeful. Your pain is no longer random, it is refining you. Your journey is no longer confusing, it is guided. Think of a child holding a parent's hand while crossing a crowded street. The child doesn't need to know the route, the timing, or the dangers around. They simply walk, trusting that the hand holding theirs will lead them safely. In the same way, faith invites you to place your hand in God's hand and walk, even when the road is crowded with uncertainty. even when your vision is blurred by fear. You don't need to see the whole way. You just need to trust the one who sees everything. Faith transforms anxiety into courage because it anchors your heart in something greater than the moment. Faith transforms confusion into peace because it reminds you that you are guided. Faith transforms fear into strength because it tells you that you are not alone. When you walk with faith, you walk with an inner assurance that no setback can break you and no storm can drown you. And perhaps the most beautiful thing is this: faith brings happiness. Not the happiness that depends on circumstances, but the kind that grows from trust. When you know you are held, protected, guided, and loved by something greater than yourself, life feels lighter. Your heart feels calmer. Your steps feel steadier. Even the hardest days become bearable because you know they are not the end of your story. They are simply turning points. So walk with faith. Not because you can see the path, but because you believe the path exists. Even when life is unclear, God is not. Even when things don't make sense, His plan does. And even when the journey feels heavy, His strength is enough for you. Faith is not about knowing the future. It is about trusting the one who holds it. My dear friends, life will not always move the way you wish, but it will always move the way you need. You may not understand every chapter, but you can trust the one who is writing your story. So walk forward with gratitude in your heart, courage in your steps, and faith in your soul. Because happiness is not found in perfect days, it is found in a heart that chooses hope again and again. Remember this always: when you walk with God, even your detours lead to destiny. Let your life be a journey of purpose, of service, of compassion, and of unshakable faith. And when tomorrow comes, rise with a simple prayer on your lips: Lord, guide me, use me, and make me a blessing. That is where true happiness begins.